Well, it finally happened. My trusty RX 5700 died. Why did that happen? Not really sure, but the display port stopped working probably like a year ago, but I used HDMI. That was fine. Sometimes it was kind of flicker, it'd be like a loose connection. And then most recently, finally the whole screen started to flicker sometimes, and then finally on certain games it would just green screen. It would just totally die. What is weird is the whole system never like totally crashed, restarted, like you quit the game and then it was still working. I'm not sure if either there is heat limitations or limitation with the power supply. So be curious what you think in the comments. But yeah, it's a little bit sad because this is my Dan A4 case and there's no video card in it anymore. And I think what I'm really interested in, why I made this video, is I'm wondering, is it possible, did the case contribute to the death of the card? Like, it never overheated in its core, but you have all this ambient heat, and I've just noticed the system is louder than I like it to be and hotter, just like the general exhaust. The core temperatures, never reach their beyond what they should be, but I wonder if the ambient heat could degrade like some of the minor things like the controls or the connections or something like that. I don't know, or maybe it's just bad luck. This card is actually older than the rest of the computer. In any case, I had to go find a replacement. So let's talk about what will actually fit in the Dan A4 case. So to replace it, I got the RX 6700. Now this is not the 6700 XT, this is just the vanilla version, which I guess was made a long time ago, but really only released recently, or at least in the United States recently. So it's a really interesting card. There's a lot of good reviews on it, check it out, but I think it's a great value, and that's why it's sort of exciting. And for me, I was really interested in, I never wanted this thing to be like a total beast. I know, you can put a 3080 or something in here, but I wanted to limit the power consumption and the heat. So going from the 5700 to the 6700 seemed to make sense. It also was good because it actually uses less power and less heat. So that was appealing to me. Now, the only version of this you can get in the United States is the Sapphire version, and it's the Sapphire Pulse, which has like a mild overclock. In Europe, you can get other versions, but this is the only one available in the States. And as we'll see in a minute, it doesn't fit, which is a problem. Now, one thing I want to mention about this card also is, because I just have the 450 SFX power supply in here, I don't have a 650 watt, so that's also why I was hesitant to go to like the 6700 XT or something like that. At the same time, I don't want to go any lower. Like if I just got an RX 6600, that's basically the same as my old 5700. It's not much of an upgrade. So I was trying to figure out an upgrade that was both cost effective while also being really power efficient and low on the heat. So here's the card, and so it's described as a 2-slot plus, right? A 2-slot plus, and so the shroud of the heatsink goes a little bit beyond the 2-slot module. And this is a pretty common thing, but as you'll see, for any of you who are a Dan A4 case owner, that's pretty annoying. I didn't realize this, but you're really limited in the cards that you can fit. So it can support very long cards, but the height, this area is really limited. So and so I'm a little frustrated with both the case, the Dan A4 case, and Sapphire, because there's no reason for this thing to be as big as it is. There's just no reason at all. It just seems very cheap and clunky, and I don't know, maybe I could take the plastic off, but I shouldn't have to do that. And it just makes it bigger than it needs to be. Essentially, on the Dan A4 case, you have this lip, and so they say their specs only allow, it's 4.5 millimeters. And this card has a height of 4.9 millimeters. So I kind of knew that going into it, but I thought, well, maybe it will fit, and if not, I'll just return it. It does not fit, which is a bit sad, and we'll get to that in just a second. But yeah, I guess this is just the nature of computer building, right? But I'm sort of frustrated. I don't know why the Dan A4 case, they should have made it a little thicker. I mean, it could still be compact and fit its goal, but you just, you know, give it a little more clearance if they know that card makers make cards like this. And on the other hand, for Sapphire card makers, you know, you can make an effective and more compact heatsink and fan module. So it's a little disappointing all around, but I was surprised because, you know, the whole idea is this card you can fit a 3080 or RX 6800 XT, and the fact that this little 6700 doesn't fit is just really frustrating. So let's take a look at that. So as you can see, on the Dan A4 case, you know, the lip is also built into the frame. So it's also, you know, it's not like I could just put it in and not have the side covered and it would fit. No, it won't even fit because the corner is on the frame itself. So that's a little disappointing. But I'm sure there are reasons for that, and that's fine. I wish they gave it a little more width. It seemed like it would be compatible with a lot more cards. So the problem becomes when you fit this guy in here, it almost fits. Like we said, it's 4 millimeters off, but it won't go in like how you'd like it. So when we're trying to put this guy in here, it gets really close. It hits right here. So you can see it hitting the frame here, and so I can't get it over enough to line up with the PCI Express to drop down, and so it never gets in there, and so there's no way, like, you can't push it in, and so it's really close. It's really a fingernail. So it almost seems like it should be able to fit, but it does not. And so that's a little disappointing. Yes, it's just this edge here. I mean, you know, I don't know. I could probably break off the plastic or something, but I don't know what that does to the warranty, and I guess I just like things to work as is. It's just a little bit disappointing that you can't get that to fit in there. So and you can kind of see underneath the PCI Express is not lined up. So you can see it's really close, but because it hits on the top of the edge, it doesn't quite drop into. Oh yeah, so if I force it, I kind of have it squeezed in at an angle, but it's coming out like, I don't know. Yeah, it doesn't want to, I kind of have it wedged in there, but it's cockeyed underneath. Yeah, that wouldn't be good. Oh, it's kind of stick. So, anyway, I don't know. If anyone has any ideas or on how to get this 5700 to fit, that'd be cool. Also, if you were wondering, so like I was, you know, I knew the dimensions were slightly off, but I said, oh, what the heck, maybe I can get it to fit. No, it does not fit. So that's okay though, because I have a backup card. So the backup card is a 6650 XT. This card is about 15% less performant as 6700, but you should be able to get it for like 15% less cost actually. So for example, I was able to get this for $300 US. It was on sale, and then the other one would have cost me $350 US. So it is a little cheaper, but what's sad is this card, from what I've read, actually uses just as much power, maybe more, and it generates just much, if not more, heat. So because it's really, you know, it's the smaller AMD chip that they're pushing to higher clock rates. So it's really kind of a worse design. So I'm kind of sad to have to go with this, but yeah, it's the only card that will kind of fit and within the all the constraints and the price and budget that I want. So it'll have to be this. So it really is a much smaller card. Main thing is this thickness. So where the Sapphire 67 kind of sticks out. So where the Sapphire heatsink and spreader, the plastic bit, is more than the 2 unit, this one, comfortably fits inside it. So it's just much thinner. And it's really a shame because, I don't know. I mean, it wouldn't really work. I mean, these are different boards and different sizes. But I feel like you could probably swap this cooler and put it on this card and it would probably work fine. Because this thing even uses less power and less heat, supposedly. So it's really just Sapphire, I think, did a crappy job. And I wish they'd make a more compact heatsink. I mean, I guess that would be an interesting video, right? Could you swap the heat sinks for these cards or another similar card or something? If that's something you want to see, that'd be cool. Unfortunately, I really don't have the time for that, but that might be a fun thing to explore. So I got the plastic bits off the 6650, and let's plug it in. I expect this to be pretty straightforward. Biggest annoyance is these little power things. So you can see, yeah, I mean, it fits easy. Fits quite nicely, right? Because it's smaller than the 6700. And yeah, I mean, I know the 6700 has kind of the older style pole exhaust, but at least it's, it's nice that it's nice and compact. So I really wish aftermarket companies would make better coolers. They should make them more compact for better compatibility. So it's really unfortunate, but this one it is nice and compact, so this will work well. And then obviously I gotta plug these in. The most annoying part is getting these to fit. So there's not enough length on the power supply cable because this card is so much shorter, which is super annoying. So I'm gonna have to take this apart, figure that out. Okay, after some just mundane fishing through the wire, we finally did. I got the power supply, it's plugged in up top here, and I just dropped in quite nicely. So it just took a while, just kind of fishing the wire through to keep it clean around here. And so then we drop it in. And so yeah, that it's plugged in up top, and this is just the extra one that can kind of hang out there. And turn it on. Anyway, I am happy to report that a year later, the computer is running great. Yeah, I haven't had any problems with the 6650, and that's kind of what's been here ever since. And it's pretty good. One interesting thing that I noticed is the computer's actually quite quiet right now, which is great. It used to be much louder, and I think in the last month or so, AMD released new chipset drivers, because I have a AMD processor as well, the 5700. And after that, I don't know, it's been way quieter. It used to get a lot louder. Now, it still can get loud pretty quick. So I just opened a web browser and this kind of gives you an idea. But it used to be like this all the time. But the fact that it still kind of gets up there just for browsing the web is not so great, but it does seem to idle a little better. And I think that just has to do with the limits. It's a 5700X and a Noctua, I forget, L9, but the thin cooler in there. And I don't know, it just struggles to, I guess, keep it cool and quiet at the same time. But it works, it's just a little louder than I'd like it to be. But that's a CPU fan that you're hearing. The graphics card, like the fans are not even spinning. All that to say, I'm mostly happy with the Dan A4 case. Obviously, there's just some limitations with the fit and what cards will fit. Also, just the noise and the limitation of your CPU cooler being a little loud. And likewise, I'm mostly happy with the 6650 XT. Itself is pretty quiet. As you can see, it's really just maybe a 20% upgrade over the 5700, depending on the game. This is at 1440p. And yeah, it gets the job done. I don't really play cutting edge games anyways, so it works for me. But I think, because I actually tend to play at 4K, and I would like a little more, but I think for that, I would just kind of need to do a whole rebuild and get a bigger case. So I think in that sense, this experiment with the Dan A4 case
has been disappointing. I know that you can put high-end cards, and I see YouTubers do it all the time. But unless you have a custom water cooling solution, it's got to be so loud in there. What I am curious about all these things is, and I'd be curious any other Dan A4 case owners could chime in, is do you think there's something with the ambient heat that could cause damage to parts, or is that just totally random? Like, is there maybe something with these parts so close together that may have caused my 5700 to die? Or is it just, age and it happens? But so, yeah, if there are any other owners that Dan A4 case, and if you've had any experience like this, I'd definitely be curious because this is sort of like the long term, nuances I'm living with that you don't really see on a typical review or typical YouTube channel. And I'm just kind of curious to hear the real life experience, after owning this for some time. Anyway, that's all. Thanks for watching.